Welcome back to Talk of the Town on 99.7, 1450 WHTC and WHTC.com.
Welcome back to Talk of the Town for this Friday, March the 4th. I'm Gary Stevens. First Friday of the month, we catch up with what is going on with the Community Foundation of the Holland, Zeeland area, and its president, Mike Goorhouse, joining us from the offices of the CFHZ in downtown Holland. Good morning, Mike. Hope all is well.
It is. Thanks for having me on again.
Glad you are with us. And if you have a question about what is going on with the Community Foundation of the Holland, Zeeland area, Mike will be happy to answer it at 616-395-1450, 616-395-1450. Mike, a story we wrote and we broadcast last month, it was a gift. Anonymous donor, or shall we say a donor that might wish to remain anonymous, is going to help fund and perpetrate the Holland Zeeland Promise. First of all, tell us about the gift, and then tell us about the Holland Zeeland Promise, what it does, and what this gift will do for it.
Yeah, it's an amazing gift, Gary. I'll start with the Holland Zeeland Promise just a little bit and then share about the gift. The Holland Zeeland Promise Scholarship is a scholarship program that was started about 10 years ago by some local folks who wanted to ensure that young people in our community who had the drive to access a college degree, had proven that they could overcome barriers to succeed academically, but still had barriers to accessing college, mainly financial barriers, that those young people had a chance to go to school. And so they started student by student, one by one in the early years, and they would fund the costs of college for these young people and then walk alongside them to help them, support them along the way so they could achieve that dream. Over the years, the Key Foundation became more and more involved, and the program grew. And it has grown to the point where this year, actually just yesterday, 12 students were notified that they were going to be recipients of the Holland Zeeland Promise Scholarship, which is a very, very big deal for them and their families in our community. And so along the way, these donations have been passed through, we call them. So the donations come in, we support the students. They come in, support the students. So we have to raise the funds every year, and we raise about between $500,000 and $600,000 a year for this program. Well, this donor couple came to us late last year, and said, "Hey, they've been supporting the Promise for a long time," and said, "We want to start an endowment for this program so that this continues on." There was always, their belief, and our belief is there will always be young people in our community who deserve to achieve that post-secondary degree and frankly, have the aptitude, skills, drive to do so, but have financial challenges. And so they said, "We'd like to start that endowment with $1 million gift." And I about hit the floor, Gary. It was one of those deals where you're like, whoa, this is amazing. And just so cool that these folks believe in the young people, both now, but in the future of our community, and want to invest in them. And so we were delighted. So not only do we have this program now where we're saying yes to these students each year, but this fund will help us sustain the program. And we hope that it will seed more contributions to the endowment over time so that we can grow the number of students we say yes to. As the endowment grows, we'll have more resources. We can say yes to more students. We will still be raising funds in real time to support the students we're saying yes to now. But it's a transformative gift. I mean, it really is. And for them to come walking in and saying, "We believe in this program for the long term," I think it just validates that the program is here to stay, that it makes a big difference, and that it's worth investing in as a community. It also plants a seed for others to think about, hey, I've been contributing $1,000 a year to the Promise, or $250, or maybe more every year. I mean, maybe I'll think about a meaningful gift to the endowments to continue this on for the long term. So anyways, very, very exciting. The Promise Scholarship has a 96% graduation rate for these young people. They're unbelievable. And these are young people who are often first in their family to go to college. So without these kinds of supports, college is a much harder uphill battle for them. But it's very cool for the foundation to be able to support them financially, but also walk alongside them, which is what we do. And most of the time they just do their thing, but every once in a while they hit a speed bump or a road bump or a hiccup, and we walk alongside and connect them to academic resources or help navigate a situation around housing or whatever it may be. And that's often the difference for these folks sticking at it and finishing their degree, or potentially kind of feeling like that road bump is too big and then dropping off. So yeah, it's a really unbelievable gift. Another testament to the generosity of this community, and pretty cool thing.
Let's get to a call before we take our first break. Good morning. You're on the line with Mike Goorhouse of the foundation.
Good morning. Now, are these gifts strictly for four-year college, or can somebody get it like to go to community college for a couple years and go into a vocation like carpentry or plumbing or something like that?
Yep. No, it is open to any post-secondary degree, 2-year or 4-year. And so we have folks that do a 2-year community college associate's degree or a specific program like you mentioned, and some that do 4-year as well. So no, it is open to both. And we get recommendations for the scholarships, not only from the traditional high schools, but also from the Career Line Tech Center and some of our other youth serving nonprofits, which often is a place where we get some of those students who are pursuing a more 2-year based program.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the call.
Good question. Yep.
Mike, we talked about the endowment that helps bolster the Holland Zeeland Promise. And this is a good time maybe to talk a little bit about endowments and legacy giving. We've talked about it in the past, and sometimes people think about leaving something behind because they can't take it with them, and they might want to include the Community Foundation of the Holland Zeeland Area sort of as a legacy gift. And this certainly, this gift for the Holland Zeeland Promise certainly would fit in that category.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the ways that people often think about making that kind of gift to the cause they care about, be it the Community Foundation or other, is through retirement assets, so IRAs. So some folks have been blessed with a retirement account that they may not need the full use of those resources during their lifetime. And so there's 2 different ways that individuals could use their IRA to support causes they care about. One is to name a nonprofit organization as a beneficiary of the IRA. So when the folks who own the IRA have passed, then the remaining dollars go directly to a nonprofit organization. That's often very tax advantageous way to do things, because the dollars that went into the IRA were tax-free. And so by having them go to a charity on the back end, then you don't have to, your estate doesn't have to incur taxes. But the other is a tool that's been around now for about a decade that has gained quite a lot of popularity, but still folks don't all know about it. And that is what they call a qualified charitable distribution from an IRA. And that is when you turn 70 and a half, many folks have to start taking a required minimum distribution. The age has changed a little bit recently. But at that point, when you're 70 and a half, you can make a distribution from your IRA directly to a charitable organization, and that can satisfy your required minimum distribution. It also allows you to not pay taxes on that distribution. So if you do not need the proceeds from your retirement account because you have other sources of income, this is a really great way to support nonprofit organizations and be tax smart about it. And so these dollars can go into funds here at the Community Foundation, endowed funds, this Promise Fund, as you mentioned. The only thing they cannot go into is they can't go to a private foundation or a donor advised fund here at the Community Foundation, where the donor maintains some ability to influence where the dollars go. But any other organization, a faith-based organization, a local community or nonprofit, or other funds here at the Community Foundation qualify for these qualified charitable distributions. So the key here is if you are 70 and a half or older, and you have an IRA, a retirement account, and you don't need the income from it now, you should consider, and if you support charitable organizations, you should consider making those gifts directly from the IRA. And there's details on our website with a lot more questions that we could talk, people can look into some questions and answers on there. But if our website is www.cgf CFHZ, as in Community Foundation Holland Zeeland, CFHZ.org. And there's a page about IRA qualified charitable distributions that I encourage folks to look at and call if they have questions. We can happy to help folks think it through and make sure something's going to make sense and work on their end. But it was a nice little deal that was introduced about a decade ago to both encourage charitable giving and it's a good tax strategy as well.
By the way, the number for the foundation is 616-396-6590. 616-396-6590. And I know that a lot of tax talk would come at the end of a calendar year, but we are 6 weeks away from today, April 15th. So it's a good thing to start thinking about, maybe not for tax year 2021, but maybe for tax year 2022.
That's right. Yeah. And we do talk about it now because many people, if they have a required minimum distribution, are thinking about whether to take it now. It's the beginning of the year where they're thinking about, okay, do I take my required minimum distribution for 2022? When and how? And so we want to catch people early in the year to say, you have another option that's worth considering before you actually take the required minimum distribution. Because once you've taken it, then you have to pay taxes on it. So try to do this on the front end if you can.
If you got a question for Mike Goorhouse, he'll be happy to answer it at 616-395-1450, 616-395-1450. I'm going to throw Mike a curveball question.
Sure.
And the reason why I am is a couple of weeks ago, the Michigan High School Athletic Association announced its Scholar Athlete Award winners, and 3 ladies, 2 from West Ottawa and 2 from Holland won. And I was doing some research on, past winners from our area. I noticed somebody from Holland Christian winning it a few years ago, one Mike Goorhouse. And it was like, is that the guy we talked to? Yeah, it's the guy we talked to.
It is. Yeah. Thanks, Gary. That's nice. It's it was meaningful. I was honored to be recognized with that scholarship when I was graduating from Holland Christian in 2004. And as a bit of a side story, it was particularly meaningful for me because my dad and my grandfather and my uncles and there's a tradition that we always every year attend the Michigan High School Athletic Association boys basketball state finals. We make a day of it, go to East Lansing and watch all 4 games. It's just a tradition that the guys had in my family. So every year growing up, I watched the scholar athletes be recognized at halftime of one of the basketball games. And so when I was selected for that award, I think it was maybe even more meaningful for me than for others because I had watched, a decade of other people be recognized in that way. So it was very special and was honored to be a part of that.
By the way, go to the MHSAA website at mhsaa.com and type in Mike Goorhouse. And I think there was a video that was produced along those lines about your accomplishments at Holland Christian. But let's tie it a little bit right now. Maybe it gives you, and I say you specifically, but the foundation, you benefited from having gifts and being part of programs. And so the foundation likes to do that for young men and women. And, you can tie in with the Holland Zeeland Promise. It just ties right in.
Yeah, that's exactly right. There's no question, Gary, that I was very, very fortunate. I was on the Community Foundation's Youth Advisory Council when I was in high school, but I was also involved in the Holland Police Department's Community Relations Committee. I was involved in the Youth Orchestra here in town. I was involved in many other community-based initiatives that invested in me and that helped me grow. That is exactly how I became who I am today. And the Community Foundation wants to continue to do that to make sure all young people have access to those opportunities. And the Promise is one way to do that. We also do that. We still have this Youth Advisory Council, a committee of young people, 18 folks between the ages of 15 and 18 that help us make decisions on how to use resources to invest in local youth. And one of the things that they've done the last few years, and we just did again, was college visit mini grants. And so we offer the opportunity for local youth serving organizations that want to make sure that the students they serve have access to a college visit. They can apply to us for dollars to help cover that cost. And here's what I love. I love this story. So first off, where this came from was creating a college going culture in our community. And I'm not saying it's always 4-year degrees, but what it's saying is in today's world and economy, making sure people have exposure to what it's like to go to a college. Not everyone gets a chance to go on a college visit. And so making sure folks get there and see is a really big deal. But what I love about our Youth Advisory Council is this year, about 3-4 months ago, they said, hey, we'd like to do those college visit mini grants again, but we want to mix it up a little bit. And we want to make sure that the programs that are doing this, that they run a financial aid training seminar on the front end, and that after the college visit, there's follow-up conversations and meetings with the young people. And I love that. I mean, the college visit makes a difference, but making sure they tied their dollars to a program that had a financial aid seminar on the front end, then the visit and something on the back end just made it more impactful and meaningful. It meant they gave a few less awards this year. They were bigger awards, but I really love how young people are really thoughtful and strategic about, hey, we think it's going to be more impactful to spend a little bit more money on the programs that have the full wraparound experience versus saying yes to more programs, but only having just the visit. So just another example of how the youth committee makes wise decisions and drives these dollars in a cool way. And so we're talking, Escape Ministries, the Trio Upward Brown program, Latin Americans United for Progress, West Ottawa. They're all going to run these seminars and then visits and then post for quick math here is 150, 160 young people in our community that might not have access to those kinds of experiences otherwise. And it was, $2,400 between the 4 of them. Not a huge amount of money, but, 150 folks to make sure they understand financial aid process, get exposure to college, and contemplate what might be the future for them. It's a big deal. So you are right, Gary. It is the community wrapping our arms around our young people, investing in them, caring about them, giving them opportunities. When you give young people a chance to shine, it's unbelievable. They more often than not will impress you with their drive to succeed when you give them a chance.
Mike, I know that you tend to want to speak a lot about the winners of the first round of competitive grants for 2022. Unfortunately, you're gonna have to give me the Cliff Note version this time around, Mike.
No,
I'm afraid.
Yeah, no, let's save it for April. I'll be back in a month. I think that'll be good. Let's save that one for April. What I will end with then, with our limited time here, is I would just say that I think spring is a hopeful time. Spring is a hopeful time for a lot of reasons in our community and around just our world. There's a lot of tough stuff happening, and that's true. But I do hope that for many in our community, Easter season is an important season for them. And I hope as people think about going about their day, that they think about how they can bless others, how they can invest in others' lives in our community. There's amazing nonprofit organizations doing great work. If you ever find yourself thinking, gosh, I'd love to be helpful, I just don't know where, give us a call. And we, in 15 minutes, we can ask you a couple questions, get a sense of the kinds of things you'd like to do, and we can plug you in and connect you. And so I offer that because the more people we have caring about each other in this community, the better for all of us. Not always about dollars and cents. It's often just about being there, caring about folks, and being willing to show up. So that's my encouragement for this spring as it comes. And for if you're someone who does lean into Lent and Easter as an important part of your faith tradition, the history it's the time for extra almsgiving.
Yep, indeed.
And so I encourage that for all of us.
And by the way, the number is 616-396-6590. I do want to bring this up. Next Thursday will be March 10, 2 years since Stay Home, Stay Safe. Wow. And I know that the foundation really stepped up big time, especially in the first year of the outbreak.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem like it's only been 2 years.
Yeah. It has been it's been both a very, very fast 2 years and a very, very long 2 years. It depends on my moment and my mood as to how I feel about that. But it is something that I'm glad we are starting to get beyond. We're starting to move on in a different kind of way. The world will never be the same. But I am grateful for all those who did step up in that moment. I'm sad for all those who who lost loved ones. That was a big deal, and there were a lot of things that happened negative in that time too. But I do think the Community Foundation was a part of a community response that we can be very proud of, and that's what we can do. I think every day each of us is called to do the best we can with what we've got. And if we do the best we can with what we've got, caring about others along the way, you can go to sleep at night, with your head held high. And as a community, we can move on knowing that we cared about each other. And I think we can say that coming out of a very tough time. Yeah,
because the foundation learned a lot about itself. I think more than anything else over the, in the weeks and months immediately following the institution of stay home, stay safe, and then safer at home. And the community, I should say, has been enriched by the efforts of the foundation and other nonprofit groups in that time. Mike Goorhouse, as always, appreciate the time you spent with us and telling us about things going on at the Community Foundation. CFHZ.org is the website. And the phone number again is 616-396-6590. If all goes well, Mike, let's do this again in about 4 weeks from now.
All right. Thanks, Gary.
Thank you very much, Mike Goorhouse on 99.7 and 1450 WHTC.